He's my manager. I'll take your money. I always have. Incidentally, Ed there in the white jacket just took all my money. He's going to do a master session tomorrow about music management. It's very nice to see you. Thank you very much for coming. People still coming in. Somebody's been throwing money at people outside. I suppose we should wait for everybody to get in.
No.
Would you like to just play some music?
Yeah.
Any requests? Just.
Got people in there.
Shall we start? I'd really like to know, I'm sure me and the guys would really like to know who you are. Because it's very important that we find this out. So can we have a show of hands for anybody who plays a musical instrument? Please raise your hand. Oh dear. Can we see the guitarists? Right, that's it. Keyboard player. Oh, you know, just little chords on keyboard players.
Accordion.
Yeah, you know, anything. Do we have bass players? Anybody who's ever touched a bass? Needs to use one, likes to use one? What else we got? What else we got? Well, that's the musicians. Any drummers? Sorry. Now, are there any songwriters? Well, there was a whole lot, and then they all sort of vanished. Anybody's ever tried writing a song, or likes to write songs, or has ever written a song, wants to write songs, thinks about writing songs? What should I ask you? What should I ask? What did I ask? Any songwriters? Please help, yeah. Great to see you. Oh, thanks. I mean, when I started just a bit like this. I mean, not writing songs. Playing the guitar. This is a pickpocket. You know, jeans just go through the wash. Well, nothing ever happens to the picks in the pickpocket. There's always, I don't use picks. Ever. Hardly. Unless I've got to do like a rhythm partner record, you know. But there's always picks in the pickpocket. It was on a guitar that wasn't nearly as expensive as this. I used to have to borrow a friend's guitar. This is an E minor where you take two fingers like. Actually, you should retake these ones instead of these ones. But then I think I used my first two because they were stronger, right? You put them on frets 4 and fret 2, strings 4 and 5, and you go like this. And then I thought that was the best sound in the world I've ever heard in my life. Some people say I'm no good. People say I'm no. We I'm just learning, nothing more travel, doing what I think I should. Doing what I think I should. I don't give a damn about a greenback dog. Steady fast as I can. And a wailing song and a good guitar. The only thing that I understand. Oh, you know it's not the only thing that I understand. So this is this little boy, completely obsessed with this thing. Driving his parents around the twist, or anybody else who happened to be within earshot. And I think you've got to be slightly obsessive about what you do, you know, about the whole thing. The sort of childlike approach to the whole thing is very important, I think. I still get excited, you know, if I'm just looking at the instruments. You know, if I sit down with Richard or any, you know, or any of the guys who just have a cup of coffee or something, start rhapsodizing about the instruments and so on and so forth. There was a Fender Stratocaster in the shop window down the road. We used to come home from school and literally press my nose against the window just to get really close to it. You know, it was flamingo pink. That was the first Strat that ever came to the northeast of England. And it was a revered object to me. I had to have a red electric guitar. It had to be red. I had to have Marvin, you know, the Shadows. It was like you remember the Ventures. Well, there was an English group called Shadows that played a bit better. I think they're actually better. Yeah. Actually, can you get anything similar to that sound, Richard?
Yeah.
Well, Richard's pretty glad you do something to give you an idea of that kind of thing. See what Richard's doing? This is Richard Bennett, by the way.
Yeah.
Guitarist. I swear, he didn't know he was going to have to do any of this. He still doesn't. I mean, you don't have to do any of this if you don't want to, Richard. But you know, I felt this is the extent of the obsessiveness. There was a boy making one of these things in the woodwork room at school, and I used to go and watch him make it just to hold the body, just to hold a piece of wood in my hand. And a lot of English kids are that way about their music. You know, I mean, it would come out as it was American music mostly that we were mad about, but it came to us through very rarefied channels, Radio Luxembourg, things like that. You know, we'd get into little groups and cliques that loved the beat groups and loved R&B music and loved different things, and we'd stick together and hang out together and listen to music. Have you got anything around there, Richard? Yeah, play some of that, you know, the kind of thing I'm talking about. That's a bit good. What about? Yeah, what, a bit of that. start. Anyway, this is how you start. Just talking guitar for a minute. You know, you start with one of these, and one of the important things is with a pick is that you don't lose it. You keep it in your pick pocket, and then you go up and down with it, not in one direction. So a lot of kids play. You see a lot of kids playing guitar. You know, they're doing this. Sometimes you've actually got to do that because it really helps. There was a solo that you were playing yesterday, Richard, where it was all downstrokes. Do you know what? Do you know? Oh yeah, was anybody at the show yesterday? Sometimes, some situations, that just for the guitar players, I don't want to bore anybody else, we'll stay on it very long, honestly. But the downstroke can, you know, can serve. What key was that? Yeah. All right, lads? Yeah, all right. What I have to do now, just have the guys just introduce themselves. And we've done a couple of these sessions before in England and really enjoyed them. One of the reasons why we did enjoy them was because it reminded us of how lucky we are to be able to do this. This is Jim Cox on keyboards. Paul Franklin, the best producer ever. Busiest bass player in town, Glenn Wall. Chad Cromwell from Memphis on drums. And literally Richard Bennett manning the mighty Jackson. And Guy Fletcher from England. Your partner in crime with me for many years. Now, if you'd just like to, would you just like to just give a brief, very brief history, a potted history, and there's as much bragging about yourself as possible.
No, I can do plenty of that, I'm sure you. I met Mark, let's see now, in 1983.
You came round to my house with a keyboard under your arm.
Yes.
I was doing a soundtrack, the Cal.
So that was the first time I worked on a movie soundtrack. Enjoyed it very much, of course. Then I went off and I was touring with other people, other bands. At the time it was with Roxy Music. And I came back and did another thing with Mark, and we worked on Brothers in Arms Out together. Did a little tour, and since then it's been sort of off and on. I've done sessions, I do a lot of work at home. I get involved in a lot of the technical side of the business, recording, for example, the Notting Hillbillies. I do recording for that as well as a bit of playing, which that was done in Mark's studio. And I do a lot of work at my own studio, I do a bit of writing. So it's very technical and a bit of playing as well. So I like to explore all avenues of music.
Do Do you have any argument with that, guys?
So yeah, that's about it really.
I got started doing sessions fairly early. I was still a teenager. I was 17 in 1968. So I primarily worked in the studio beginning in 1971. I started a 17-year touring and recording career with Neil Diamond and did some writing with Blair Recital Records. And I moved to Nashville in 1985 after commuting for a few years. And continued on with recording and producing. I produced albums on Andrew Harris and first two Steve Earle albums.
If there's a killer lick on a record that you've always loved, the chances are that Bennett's behind it.
Not judging from this past performance. And then the last 4 or 5 years I've had the extremely good fortune and challenge of working with Mark. It's just been, it's really stepped up my ladder, my goal, to be working with Mark. It's fantastic. It's really revitalized me.
This is why he gets paid big money.
Yeah, well, beginning now on the non-musician journey. I found myself in England at 17, just a week or so after graduating high school, in a punk band in London. 3 guys, oddly enough, we were signed to Elton John's new label, Rocket Records. And I think we were the second band signed, and the first drop actually prior to the record being released. Which I won't go into that, but at any rate, I found I really have kind of come from a combo background, and about 15 years ago, I decided I just needed more as a musician than just being in a band and bashing it out. So I sort of found myself with a bit of a jazz study, and then this little calling in my ear saying, Nashville, Nashville, Nashville. Frightened to death at the whole concept of coming here. But nonetheless, I arrived here in 1990 and started the task of going about getting work here. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me because of the community here, the sense of community, the dedication to the craft of playing and interacting with great artists, songwriters, musicians, technical staff, the whole bit. And it also, as Richard said, the real blessing in it all was getting tossed in the ring with Mark. I mean, it was the best thing that's ever happened to me as a player. And I feel really, really fortunate to be here. So that's a good story.
I'm from the Midwest originally, and there are not exactly a lot of musical career opportunities in the cornfields. And I played for years with every unknown and untalented Claudian type band known to mankind, or unknown to mankind. And like Chad, I decided at some point I had to maybe go to a place where music actually happened, was created instead of just played back at people. So I moved here in 1979. And actually, I've said this in print several times, but now I get to say it in flesh. I moved here to be a steel guitarist. And then I heard Paul Franklin. And I went into my closet and cleared out a little space in the corner and put my steel guitar there. And then wisely sold it a couple of years later. But I had always played bass too, and actually at the time I moved here, every band needed a bass player, and not that many needed steel players. So I made that somewhat ungraceful switch, but gladly did so. And I just kind of slowly have tried to entrench myself in the Nashville studio thing, but also the local live scene. And I actually met Mark that way a number of years ago. We met in a bar, and I guess that's where we still do our best work. We kind of just taken turns over the years helping one another lower our standards. And so here we are. We're going to try to lower your standards.
I moved here to be a bass player. Much like everyone here, I'm from Detroit, and you know, I had the same love that you explained or described when we first held a piece of wood. My father was always a big country music fan, and so from an early age, I knew what a steel guitar was, and I always wanted to play one. And so I started first out playing Hawaiian music, and of course, when you play the steel guitar, your greatest source of knowledge comes from the country records. And so from an early age, I began studying records and great steel guitarists, Pete Gray, Lloyd Green, and trying to emulate the sound I heard on records, which I wasn't very good at. But I kept on trying, and I realized at an early age that what I really wanted to do most was play the song before someone had a chance to play it really good. So that way I wouldn't have to copy anymore. And so I sort of set my goal at an early age to become a studio player. So I was very fortunate to have met players like Jerry Reed at an early age. And so when I moved to town, they gave me a chance to go in the studio with them. And you know, it was a dream come true, and so I pretty much always directed my path towards the studio scene. And in fact, through meeting Jerry Reed, I think Chet became familiar with my playing, and when Mark came to Nashville to do the Notting Hillbillies record, he wanted to try steel guitars and
Guitar on that record.
on that record, and through, I need to thank you again, Chet, through his recommendation, I got to work. I came to work on that record, and it's led to the most cherished moments in my musical career, playing on that record and all of the other records that we've been fortunate to make. And I hope it lasts.
Well, I was born in a small town in Northern California, and I, like Glenn, played with the best and the dregs of whoever was there. And being the piano player, you get to play in a lot of different bands. You get to play in the rock bands, and the country bands, and the R&B bands, and I did that all through high school, even playing organ receptions on organ. I had an organ with a beatbox in it, so there was a lot of any job that, I certainly didn't turn anything down, but it was all by ear.
It's a bit the same now, isn't it?
Yeah. We don't bring the beatbox anymore. But, pretty much by ear. I had been in the drum section of the school band, so I could read rhythms pretty well, but when there was a clinic up at a school called College of the Redwoods, and I brought a director from Long Beach State up there to the clinic. And he said, well, you should move to LA. You've got a lot of work in LA. And it was, so that's all I needed at the time. Moved to LA and started going to school there. And I almost immediately got engaged at Disneyland, meeting several of the bands they had there, the rock bands on the Coke Terrace, and the show bands, the Kids of the Kingdom. And I was forced to wear a lot of polyester pastel outfits, no facial hair, and anyway, advancing the story, I also learned at hotel that I had to start getting the lines and spaces together for just about every job that had a composer. They would compose something. And, so it was learn while you learn it still is in that town. But I started getting calls for jingles, and then for some television work, and some movies, and records. And I was blessed growing up in an era where top 40 radio, you could hear all kinds of music on one station. You'd hear all the Nashville records and all the Motown records and all the English pop records. And then I was also blessed, when I moved to LA, there was still, it was before the DJs and karaoke years, so there would be a band in every hotel, there would be a band for every wedding reception, there would be just a lot of live music and a lot of great players. And when I first started getting into the studio scene, I was also blessed that you'd be playing with, it was pretty MIDI, so you'd be playing with 3 or 4 other keyboard players on a motion picture date or on a record date. There'd be huge rhythm sections with, you know, maybe a set drummer and an electronic drummer, and 2 percussionists, and bass and 4 guitars, or what. So I'd be sitting next to all my heroes that I've read about from records. It's kind of gone away from that now with a lot of computer and a lot of MIDI, but I was fortunate to be in the last wave of that kind of playing. And I still don't know the exact story of how I got hooked up with you, Mark, but I know it was by the recommendation of some people here, and I got a phone call from me, from you.
I got a phone call from you, Chet, I think. Thanks very much. Chet called me up, he was making a record with a bunch of different guitar players. And I jumped on an aeroplane and paid for a ticket myself. Flew over as fast as possible. Chet met me at the airport and took me straight to the Gibson factory. and took a long look at my thumb, you know, which he still talks about. He's got a thumb about as long as my foot. But through knowing people like Chet, my publisher here, David Conrad, who's a great friend, and Paul Franklin, those very important figures. Paul Henry is another one, Englishman over here, who is a songwriter. But these, you know, they're important people to me here as well as all these guys. What I'm trying to say is this, is that, and you'll find this, that good people recommend good people. So basically, half of the thing is done for you. It's the same as finding a management company, or whoever's looking after your affairs who's honest and efficient. Is a great combination to have. And so in the music area, good people recommend good people. So I've come across a lot of these people from Paul, indirectly then through Chet and so on and so forth. And Paul put me in touch then with Chuck Angley, who is a wonderful co-producer and engineer. Are you here, Chuck? No. And then good musicians, tend to come together and be together. And so that this sort of thing happens. I mean, there's a keyboard player in town called Matt Rollins, who is a wonderful, wonderful keyboard player. And, Paul said to me one day, I think you should hear Jim Cox. He's in LA. He's great. And so on and so forth. This is how this sort of stuff happened. And he also said he was pretty good at music too. And actually, it might be worth to point out that the respect that I have for these people, it goes beyond anything else. What I want more than anything else, damn it, is that the love and respect that you get from between players. It's the respect of your peers, it's the people who you play with, more than I'm afraid what an audience thinks, or what a radio audience thinks, or any of that. That in fact the feeling that you get with a bunch of players when you enjoy making music together is actually very, very strong. And I suppose, even though I'm not really a part of it, you know, when someone like, say if you take someone like Glenn, and he's, you know, describe what it's like, Glenn, you know, driving into the parking lot and looking at the musicians' cars there. You've talked about it before.
Well, I won't be ugly, but there yeah, I will. There are a few cars I don't really want to see in the parking lot. But, no, seriously, what Mark is saying is true. You're not one of the ball over there. You know, there is a great deal of respect, usually, either on studio floor or if it's a concert or whatever, and hopefully I guess the hope and carry of the situation is that you can make music together and actually find ways to kind of spur each other on, maybe to make a better performance than anybody could have by themselves. And sometimes in the studio, you don't always come out with such lofty expectations, you know, going in. Maybe it's going to be a little soap jingle or something like that. You're not talking about high art, but nonetheless, given whatever the occasion is, with your bandmates, you try to bring something to it, make something happen.
Yeah. I mean, the friendship, the feeling between the guys is the whole thing. You know,
Camaraderie, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, it's like a great, you know, I mean, that in itself is very strong. When you're working on something maybe you don't really like very much, then that's the only thing that you kind of, is that
So
right?
you have to put on. Sometimes if the song, sometimes they're in a situation where the song isn't up to par, and or sometimes even an artist, and you get situations like that, the only way that you can really pull it together is to draw from your respect of your mates. And sometimes what happens is that song ends up becoming this big massive hit because of the energy that you draw from each other. And you know, I don't know how to put it in words, but
That and your own pride and your professionalism, if you will. Not sort of sync, try to transcend it.
So we're talking here about a song that you don't like, say. What have you got to do? You've got to try and polish this thing, which is resisting the polish. Refine something.
It's easier sometimes to someone from an ad agency that, you know, but everyone knows that you're there not for the musical moment, but to try to sell whatever needs to be sold, if it's advertising, or to tell the dramatic story that needs to be told. And so I think everyone's personal egos aren't involved, and it's easier to do that sometimes than if you're on a record with an artist who really, it is his career and her career or their career.
You can have a bad attitude on jingles.
You know it's not you, right? And everyone, there's this third party, there's something, and you can even take that into record dates. Well, it's not any of our careers, but this record is something else. This object, and how can we make this the best it is? And if everyone has that idea, if we can tell the story that the song wants to tell, it's still.
And it's your pride, it's your calling card. Every playing opportunity, whether it's a record, whether it's a live show or a concert, it's your calling card to the next call. It's what you've just done.
So everybody's arrived at this position now. Here we are, and you arrive at it by this. Everybody arrives through their own tortuous path, you know, and you start, say, with your instrument, and it's with the pick and so on and so forth, the guitarist again. I mean, one of the reasons, for example, that I learned to finger pick is that I couldn't afford an amplifier. I didn't have the money for an amplifier. So I borrowed friends' acoustic guitars and started to do that. Learn how to finger pick. start, with, again, guitar players, the thumb, your big thumb, on the bottom 3 strings, and your fingers on the top 3. And you start by going, and then you start with the thumb going 4 beats to the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, all by itself. And then your fingers kind of filling in the gaps. It's kind of like learning to ride a bicycle or swim or something. And so on and so forth. I thought it was wonderful. And I still do. I'm still kind of amazed that it actually happens. But then that develops as well. And instead of just playing on a, 1 chord or 2 chords, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's as far as it ever gets, that's great. A lot of artists, they've written the greatest songs with 1 chord and 2 chords. Chet showed me, Chet and I recorded a song by one of the greats, Don Gibson, 2 chords. Just 1 time. It's 1 in 5 guys if you want to play along. Say it's C. If I could see you just 1 time. Probably wrong key. So don't knock it. You do it if it's so simple, if it's so, you try it. You try and make a song as good as that. You try and do it. And the musicians, the really great musicians, what I call musical musicians, because there's a lot of musicians and there's musical musicians, they're 2 different things. And respect that, try and do the best thing that they can do with it. And Chet, for instance, has made it, has shaped the way that we listen to music because of, his working with songs like that, making records like that, working with arrangements, complicated music and simple music. So, anyway, the finger picking then developed and develops into ragtime picking. You start breaking the rules. The thumb doesn't just stay on the lower strings, it starts to go on the high ones too, and you start playing. And fiddling that, the thing just starts, you develop what's called a style. I could do that with a pick. A pick is actually fascinating, A Django Reinhardt style of thing. Now Don Gibson, for example, was a Django Reinhardt fan. He used to make Chet play Django style on all those records, didn't he? And you it's actually faster than fingers. But I just like fingers, I just do. It's intimate, You have an intimacy with the instrument. It doesn't sound as good necessarily. Chet still uses a thumb pick and he has a stronger bass. So, the way that you style, you have to have drawbacks, But it's it's just the way that you play. For good or bad, that's what's turned out for me. That, it's just a development. Style is extremely difficult to define. Style is something that's very difficult to talk about. It's easy to recognise, but very difficult to talk about and define. But after you've been playing for a long time, whatever instrument, if you're a drummer, if you're a bass player, you'll just get this style will come from one of the most important things, and this is really what all this is leading up to, is to talk about the wellsprings of the music in different areas. If you heard all the guys talking, where you draw from is very, very important. It's not just from listening to pop, radio, yeah, or whatever it is. What you've got to do, you get into these explorations through music, history music, and it shapes you. See, to develop a style, you have to know. I went back through this, this love of rock and roll, love of music. I went back into it, but then wanting to play electric blues, wanting to do this and that, and then getting back into the history of black music, the history of white music. It took me back to the 20s when I started. I was listening to the Memphis Jazz Band. I was listening to the Mississippi Sheiks. Let's throw up three Hanks. Obviously, it's important. Hank Williams, Hank Thompson, who's Brazos Valley Boys. You've got to listen to all this stuff. Hank Snow. Now, at the Country Music Hall of Fame, there's a shot which you should use, and I hope I'm not boring anybody who has already done this or does it, but you can get these boxed sets of these. I've just been going through again, I've been going through my Stanley Brothers box sets. You can get 4 cassettes in the set, beautiful, good, and like that. And that's just 58, 61. Whatever it is, it's very important to draw on all of this stuff. And that never comes to an end, that exploration, it never ends. There's so much music. And it all helps, you bring it all to bear, on what you do yourself. So if I said to you, Jim, say, give us, I'm going to throw things out, give us, say just with piano, Mead Lux Lewis, Pete Johnson, Albert Abrams, give us some, you see, when I started, one of the things that really turned me on was the 12-bar, was the wonderful logic, this great blocks of logic just sailed into place when I was a kid. I heard Boogie Woogie Piano. But I was doing this, something like this. So that's that. And then, it's just that, but then, take it up a few years, or take it back a few years, whatever, and Jim and the guys would kind of know, kind of be able to do that. So, I could say, give us take it up and give us a little bit of Jimmy Yancey, give us a little bit of Art Tatum. And if I said to Paul, well, I think Paul's already told you, and this is great. If you could take it over. Yeah, I just want to play along, don't you? Inspired. See, you're drawing on this great gospel music. And I went back into the country blues. And I went back into the early finger picking. The same way that so many guitar players do, the way so many musicians do. And that then, but sometimes you go backwards. You can do that through your Pearl Jam, and you can go back, you can do it through your Nirvana or whatever, your Dire Straits record. And you go back, and you go back, and you go back, and you find out so much more, and then you use that and bring that all forward again, it's all chains. You're going back to the 20s, back to the 30s, back to the 40s. 50s, 60s. The Beatles were very influenced by, big time, by the Everly Brothers, for example. Big time. We wouldn't listen to music the way that we do if it wasn't for the Everly Brothers. But you wouldn't have the Everly Brothers if it wasn't for Chet Atkins or if it wasn't for. So these arrangements, but there would be no Everly Brothers without. Let's talk about brothers. Let's talk about the sounding. You wouldn't have the Everly Brothers without the Lucan Brothers. So listen to go to the new shop and buy a Lugans and listen to the sound, but listen to the Blue Sky Boys, the Wilbur Brothers. It means you're talking about these guys. They're playing and it sounds like the Everlys, the Roberts. They've got the name on the guitar, they've got the same, the double scratch plate. I was going to talk against the Everly Brothers. Did anybody hear that song that I sang last night? The songs, just to talk about songwriting for a minute, songs come for many different reasons, And it can be something that you see, something that you hear, something that you read, something somebody says. So anyway, here's one that is a brand new one, actually. I just wrote this a few days ago. Please join in if you want to, chaps. If you don't feel like it, go have a cup of tea. Now this is something that Chet was telling me one day. There's a story.
I will.
Everly Brothers are back in town, my friend. Will they ever be? They may never be back again. First time around, they all love their sound. They're back in town, my friend. Took them to the county fair, especially see men from Tennessee appearing there. years ago. Singing harmony you usually fill, and I was gone. That's how we used to play. Or was it round the other way? But we're on, the years are gone. So that's just a song coming from something, a story that you hear. So songs can come because you're just in somewhere, you're in a situation, you see something happening, and it just grabs you. It's just a situation. The mind of nothing. I was in the store, and I saw this meathead, redneck. I don't know what to call it. Every fool's got an opinion, unfortunately. Or it can be something. It can be something somebody writes, something you see in a book, or just something that catches your eye. And I remember reading that little thing, a little sports magazine. I was on a plane, and this crew boss from NASCAR said, just saying, sometimes you're in windshield, sometimes you're in bud, today we were in bud. And I just like that. And, so it was, what team is it? Was it Gene? And so on. Sometimes you have a little tune. You make it into a song, And it's got this thing, and I remember Kennedy telling me, man, Moss, I love that. Sometimes you're a fool in love. Sometimes you're the windshield. Sometimes you're the bug. Sometimes it all comes together. Sometimes you're a fool in love. Just stuff. It's just all this stuff I've been talking about. If you listen to all this music that goes back, you just pick a bit of it out somewhere. I don't know where that came from, but it comes from listening to a lot of stuff, and from being this slightly obsessed madman. I perfected the art of falling asleep while playing guitar. What you do is you sit. I really need a couch, and this is how I write. This is how I work. I have a sofa. I have something like this, but it's usually in front of me, a coffee table, or whatever, a chair. It gets kicked out of the way. And as you play it, and you're moving slowly down. And you just play something slow. You slide slowly off the sofa onto the floor. You're leaning against it's getting very late at night, and you fall asleep, play, and you wake up, and you're lying on the floor. That's how I met John Wesley. Tweet me out, doing God knows what. And he's a big tall guy, and I was down in this little flat, condemned part of London, the big arm fit of London. And I was lying on the floor with a guitar across my chest. I was fast asleep. John came in, filled the door, 6'3", you know, great big guy. He must have joined me. And that's how we met. On the vertical, yellow, horizontal. And it still happens a little bit in the winter writing. So you sort of play on, you learn how to play it kind of like automatic. You know, it's kind of a muscle training really, it's a good thing. Richard was telling me about his son Nick, who's really coming on as a guitar player. You know? So he sits and watches TV and plays it. It's a great thing to do. You know, to sit and watch television, play the guitar at the same time is a great thing to do because all this music comes out. And you try and play along with it. So it's important to have that approach, you know, that, in the instrument. So now talking about songs again, songwriting, and where songs come from. Somebody wrote me a letter, for instance, the other day. I was talking about, this is an dear friend of mine, one of the great guitarists, one of the best guitarists I've had the fortune to play with Sonny Landreth from Louisiana. Are you here, Sonny? I think you're in town. There he is. Good to see you, man. And I hope you don't mind me saying this, Sonny, but you wrote me a little letter just when we were talking about the loss of a dear friend. And you probably don't remember this, but you sent me some songs, but you also, this little letter you said, it's been a while, but I'm doing better now. And you talk about missing your friend. So I've written a song from that, just from that. And, you know, usually, I think the thing about that was, it's the truth. There's something about that, you know. And I combined that idea with being in Nashville a couple of years ago, with my great friend David Conrad. And he was showing me the effects of the ice storm. Can you remember the ice storm that was here? When was it, David? How long was it? 94? God, the time's flying and having fun. And there was, you know, the trees got split, you know, with all this frozen water. It landed on the trees and split them like that. With the weight of the ice. And so it's a combination. Why do you write songs? It's a combination of things. You put two and two together, you know. Ice and rain suddenly tore all the trees apart. The night you put the trees on, you know, and that's what happened to across the county lights went out. Pound at 3. Put on one night in town. Nothing I could do about it. All the lights are down. And then I would go through like frozen. But the world can't go on. You know, whatever. And I forgot about somehow. It's been a while, you know. It's been a while. It's been a while. But I'm doing better now. That's it, guys. it's like a half a song. That's how I get from that idea and the ice film idea. You put two things together, and you've got a song. Maybe not a very good song, but you've got a song. Now, if I was to say it again, say it's June. All right, let's take this chorus. It's been a while. It's been a while. It's been a while. Sunny's lying, but I'm doing better now. Now, give me Jim, give me three separate licks between the C and the A minor. It's been a while. It's been a while. It's been a while. Okay, there's one. Give me another one. It's been a while. It's been a while. It's been a while. Give me another one. It's been a while. It's been a while. That's a winner right there. Richard. I bet you he's picked up the Gretsch. The reason I know that he'll have picked up the Gretsch is because there's already this shared knowledge, with having listened to a million songs. Give me a fill, Richard. It's been a while. It's been a while. It's been a while. Right, that's crap, Richard. Give me another one, man. It's been a while. Yeah. It's been yeah. But you can do better than that. Give me another one. It's been a while. Yeah. Oh, yes indeed. Yeah, see what I mean? See, and I haven't finished. Paul, give me one. Here we go. It's been a while. It's been a while. Oh dear. Yeah, that's really bad, Paul. Give me another one. It's been a while. That's now we're talking. That's my favorite chord. And I can give you some too. It's been a while. Oh, it's been a while. It's been a while. What I'm saying is that there's this embarrassment of choices. It's not like being in a racetrack in a car and the corner is coming up. When you're in a racetrack in a car and the corner is coming up, you've got to get yourself organised. So you get on the brakes and you get on and you find the right gear and you're doing everything in time, everything beforehand. Here comes the corner. This is something I like to do. Just get on a racetrack in a racing car. I'm going down the straight at 130, 140 miles an hour. corner's coming up, so I get myself in the right position. And I think, well, shoot, here comes the corner now. There's a line around that corner. Put the car, get the brake, get out of fine third gear, nice and comfortably, Put the car into the corner and as fast as the tires are going light, and you're just balancing this thing around the corner. Putting the power into it, more power, more power. Round we go, working the car around the corner, without it going too out. But it's a pretty definite thing. What you've actually got to do there is definite. It's definite. That's one of the things I like about it. There's no choice. You get around that corner, or not. But with music, there's choices. Everywhere choices. And there's the contrast of it. There's a beauty of it too, And it's not that there's, I don't know whether you agree with it, but it's not, lads, but it's not as though one wins or one's better than another. But that's where the art comes, I suppose. It's just
another way to get there.
Another way to get there. And you don't, but with great players, like these guys, you don't tell great players what to do. And anybody that comes to town, as Chet told me once, anybody that comes to town, I think we should probably finish now, but if you remember one thing, if you want to do anything with music, don't try and tell great players what to play. A director would never tell great actors, and let the director who really knows his job, or her job, never tell great actors what to do. So I think a really good producer, lets great players find parts, lets them find a way into the song, and he uses them in that way. He doesn't say, don't go, it's been a while. I want you to play dang. Yeah, it's not like that. So, even if there might be something where you really hear something, and then I might say, Claudia, I really hear, so, say, so let's just do this thing. It's been a while. Before. The sus was 7. I might say, put that in there, I might just hear it, and then I'll go, I might do that, but really the chances are that what Paul would play would be better than what than what I heard. So let great players do what they do for you, and it'll reward you very much, I think. But that's an important thing to remember, guys. Don't tell great people what to do. You let them bring themselves to, bits of themselves to a song. And I don't think any producer would last very long in a place like Nashville, or anywhere, by telling great musicians what to play. So that's it. I love you, thank you very much.
Thank you.